Welcome to my little storage basket. I'll call it little trough there. Hello, orientalis, which I do like to use in hanging baskets, by the way. Now, I don't have any to show you. I like to do this often for something. As I see damage can form. But in this case, I am definitely going to how much would it cost if I went to the Well, it's the new year, and start over again.
Your turn.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Right.
You ready? And 3, 2.
Well, it's the new year, and I'm still in that mode, trying to be a better version of myself. I told you guys in the last video that I just love this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And a lot of the things in here are things that you already know, but he brings it home in such an influential, effective way. So if you want to check this book out, we'll put a link above it. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks a lot about something called habit stacking. I think of it as pair this with that, so that you try to make certain things become habitual. And as soon as you do one thing that you're already doing, it triggers a response to do something else. And I have done some of that already in my life, and I'll share with you some of my habit stacking that I've been doing for a while now, but I have started a couple of new ones. And really, you guys, more than anything, this is when I want you to comment below on what pair this with that, what kind of habit stacking that you do that will make all of us be healthier, be more energetic, and be more organized. So one thing that I have started doing is, obviously many of you too, in the morning, the first thing you do is you make your coffee or you make your tea or whatever. So what I have started to do is start doing small things to tackle a bigger project while my coffee is being made. So that might be something like I will empty the dishwasher while I'm waiting for the coffee to be made and have my first cup. Or, as Stuart knows, I am incessantly reheating my coffee and my tea in the microwave, which gives me a minute and a half to do some small things I wouldn't do otherwise. So this morning, this is how I'm working on the margins of a larger project to go ahead and tackle it, so it will encourage me to do it later. So, as you guys know from my last challenge, one of the things I'm doing is cleaning out my junk drawer. So what I did while my coffee was being made this morning is I took everything out of my junk drawer. I got what is one of the most indispensable things in my house, my Black & Decker dust buster, to clean this out. I wiped it down. I removed some things that I was going to definitely throw out, and the next time I have to come in and heat up my coffee or whatever, I can tackle the rest of it. I can move one basket down, and by the end of the day or in an hour or two, I will have this project finished. So I am pairing making my coffee with some other job that I'm trying to get done. Now, obviously, if I get going and I'm really motivated because I've gotten a good start on it, then I can go ahead in one fell swoop to clean out this junk drawer, because a lot of times starting is the hardest part. So start something while you're making your coffee or tea in the morning. That's my number one. Well, my number two, pair this with that, keys to habit change, involves just walking through a door. So I'm really trying to work on my posture. This year, I am of the age where I'm prone to osteopenia and things like that, and I really think it makes you look much more youthful and much more attractive and energetic when you have good posture. So what I am doing is I am matching one thing with another. So I'm trying to make every passageway, every door leading from one place into another as my trigger to stand up straight. So whenever I encounter a door now, I will adjust my posture accordingly. And what I've noticed is I have started to do it. I think to myself, stand up straight whenever I walk through a door. But now I've noticed that I've started doing it when I walk through other kinds of passageways, like gates or awnings or arbors or things of that nature. So I'm trying to pair this with that, in this case, walking through a door with better posture. Now let's move on to my number 3, pair this with that. Well, pair this with that is so obvious. Nevertheless, I constantly need a reminder to do it. And many of you who live in 2-story houses, or in some cases even 3-story houses, can probably relate. And that's that I'm always having stuff upstairs that needs to come downstairs, and vice versa. Now, I used to have a basket that I kept at the bottom of the stairs, and I called it my upstairs downstairs basket. I don't use it anymore. Now, every time I go upstairs or I come downstairs, I always have something in my hands that needs to be relocated. In some cases, it might be, well, for example, right now, I have a huge box of books that belongs to my son, Johnny. He went through them. We're going to take those to Goodwill or to recycle them someplace. And it's a great big box. So I know now every time I come downstairs, I need to grab a load full of those books and reposition them by the doorway so they can ultimately get out the door. The box itself is way too heavy for me to carry downstairs. So that's a project I'm working on right now. Likewise, I always have jackets, books, all sorts of things, laundry that need to go upstairs from downstairs. And as I said, I used to have an upstairs downstairs basket. But this is an instance where you need to know thyself. And I discovered that when I put things in the basket, that then I would just carry the basket upstairs, and then the basket would just sit up there with its contents. I wouldn't go ahead and put them away. So I don't use that basket anymore. Now I just take whatever it is, I set it at the bottom of the stairs. When I go up, I will immediately then put this book that I just alluded to by my bedside table where I'll continue to read it, and I'll put the jacket I was wearing today in my closet. Obviously, there's lots of different things you guys have to put away as you go upstairs and downstairs. Tell me what strategy you use to make sure that things stay in place. Every time I go up, every time I come down, I need to have my hands full. Well, this is one that I'm proud to say I have paired for a pretty long time. Paired this with that. This is my number 4 tip. I started this last year, I believe, maybe even the year before that, and I've been pretty good about not breaking the chain. And that is whenever I make my bed in the morning, and I do make my bed most mornings, tell me if you do or not, I immediately do this. So I've made my bed, and underneath my bed I keep one of these really cushiony bath mats. What are these, microfiber bath mats or something, Stuart? So I keep one of these underneath my bed and I pull it out. And as soon as I make my bed, this is what I do. I go into a 1-minute plank. And over time, I might try to increase that or whatever, but I do a minimum of a 1-minute plank. And how I gauge that is because I have my phone right in front of me, and I tell Siri to set a timer for 1 minute. Now, as soon as I finish my plank, this is something that I have added in the past couple of months. I take my pad and I kneel on it, so that I can then do 12 push-ups. And I do my 12 push-ups. And slowly I am increasing the number of push-ups that I do. So that is my number 4 tip of pairing this with that. For you, it might be another type of really easy exercise. It might be stretching. It might be, for example, my husband just had a knee replacement, so he needs to do his knee exercises. So if you've got something that you really need to do, making your bed will trigger that activity. And it's so strong for me right now that if I make my bed and I don't have time or I'm interrupted and I don't get to go through my little ritual, that it really bothers me and it reminds me I'll do it later in the day. So that's my number 4 pairing. Make your bed, do a simple exercise. Well, it's a secret of adulthood, I think, that really good candles matter. And it's one of the little treats that I give myself after I have done another pairing one thing with another. And in this case, I am stacking my habits. So in this case, I make my bed, I do my plank or whatever, and I've just added this 3rd ritual this year because I am notorious about poor calendar management. Stuart will agree. In my defense, it's partly because our calendar is always changing based on the weather, based on people's availability, based on my schedule, those different types of things, and of course Stuart's schedule. And so because of that, I tend to be rather chaotic and not as organized as I should be in my calendar management. So while I do typically record my appointments in a Google Calendar on my iPhone, that's part of my make my iPhone work for me, pressing it into service for the multitude of things that it's good for, I've started adding this next ritual. So after I do my little exercise ritual, I immediately come in here and I check my calendar with what I've got on it for the day, for the week, or whatever. And that will just remind me of what I have coming up, because I know now immediately after I do my plank and exercise, I immediately come into my office to check my calendar. And if I'm going to be working on my computer, checking emails, things of that nature, then I give myself a little treat. And it's one of the little joys, I think, of life, is to light a candle. And by the way, I need to trim this wick, because that's another little secret of candle management. That's keeping your wick clipped down so it's not so tall and not so smoky. So that's kind of how I work with that. So I'm stacking habits, making my bed, doing my little exercise ritual, and checking my calendar. And I do those things, and who knows, I may stack something else on top of that. Let me know what you might do after you check your calendar. Well, Stuart makes fun of me all of the time when I do this, and in fact, I was doing this pairing when he arrived this morning, and that is walking while I talk. So I really try to get in 10,000 steps a day. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But one thing that definitely helps is whenever I talk on the phone, and it's going to be an extended conversation, whether it's with my sister or it's Stuart or it's whomever, then I walk while I talk. So I'm constantly, and in my house with its kind of cramped, smaller rooms of an old house, a lot of times I'm just walking in circles, but that doesn't bother me because I'm getting in my steps, and I was doing just that when Stuart arrived today. And then, of course, if I'm doing my steps and I walk through a door, what am I going to do? I'm going to stand up straight. Well, I am a nut for, I guess, kind of protocol, and it's helping me be more efficient. So, for example, whenever Stuart and I shoot these videos or whatever, we have a certain protocol that we go through at the front end to make sure that we have most of what we need in terms of like a thumbnail for the video or what my question of the day is, those kinds of things. And increasingly, I have found that I need a protocol to go through at the end of really of anything, whenever I change location or whenever someone else changes location. So, for example, I am notorious for leaving things in different areas. So I always have a glass of water, and I'm always leaving my water glass in different places. And by the way, if you drink one sip, drink 5. I talked about that in my last video. So before I leave a place, I'm starting to do what I call a roundup. So check every flat surface everywhere to make sure that I leave with what I came with. So I'm no longer leaving my cup, my sunglasses, my cell phone, whatever it is that I brought to one place, whether that's a restaurant or it's the library, or it's a friend's home, that I leave with what I came with. So I'm trying to train myself to do a roundup of the space around me before I leave. And Stuart also is working on this because he is notorious for sometimes leaving camera equipment or things of that like that when he is here, and it just makes us overall less efficient. And yes, Stuart thinks that's kind of funny. He thinks all of my little things are kind of funny, but they're valuable, aren't they, Stuart? They really are valuable. And I'm just trying to mentally train myself to not be so forgetful. So every time I leave a hotel room, a restaurant, one room versus another room, I'm going to mentally try to do a roundup and make sure I have everything that I need. Now, as another, pair this with that, I've set a reminder out. Anna, I got your package today. And I'm in the next video, I'll probably showcase some of the cards and things that I've gotten from you guys over the holidays. There were so many, I can't point out every one of them. But look at this. My friend Anna, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Anna or Anna, in Ohio, made this garden nutcracker for me. Isn't it adorable? It's got a little hose. It's got my candelabra. It's got my, even the hedge pruners, Stuart, look, they look like those Brunel hedge shears. It just is absolutely adorable, down to the leopard skin skirt. It just couldn't be any cuter. And and it's also got blonde hair. So I so appreciate that. I squealed with delight, didn't I, Stuart, when I opened it? There were some other little goodies in there. I'm so appreciative. So if I need a reminder to tell you guys something now, I'm going to set it out as a show and tell, so I will remember to tell you. So I think, am I on track? Is that my number 7, Stuart? And then I've got one more bonus. Pair this with that. Well, and as a bonus, let me give you my last, pair this with that. This is one thing that I have done for years, and I'm pretty reliable about doing it almost every morning. I don't like to break the chain, and that is, once I have my coffee made and I have my first cup, I come in here in the living room. If you guys follow me on Instagram, a lot of times I share this in my stories. I come into the living room, or I sit in front of the fireplace and I meditate. I use the 10% Happier app. I really like it. Stuart, if we can, let's put a link above. And I come in and I do a 10 to 15 minute meditation every morning. I light candles. Sometimes they're tapers, sometimes they're not, but it's a quiet morning of reflection for me, and it's really a good way for me to start out the day, the month, the year in kind of a grounded way. I know some people don't really find meditation helpful, but I really do. It helps me stay a little bit more focused and maybe take things not quite so seriously. And I've noticed it's been particularly valuable in the last couple of years. So obviously, I've got one more question for you guys. Do you meditate? And if so, do you use a guided meditation like an app like Headspace or 10% Happier? Or do you just have a quiet reflection time? Some people read, some people do different kinds of things. Some people, my sister bird watches early in the morning. And so I'd like to know what that is. But I pair this with that. So my first cup of coffee means I'm going to come in here and meditate. So let me know what you guys do, what is valuable for you in pairing one thing with another, so that we can really make some tiny changes in the new year to improve the quality of our lives. So there you go. Well, here you go. Here's my fashion epilogue for today. My earrings. This is my favorite line of earrings for last year and probably going into the new year. These are those Atrios tile earrings. Stuart, let's put a link above so people can check into these. I absolutely love them. I gave several pair for Christmas gifts, and Stuart did too. You gave some to your girlfriend, didn't you, Stuart? Yeah. And so they're just beautiful, and they look so much more expensive than they are. So I would obviously encourage you to check out her work. It's beautiful. My sweater is from World Market. I love these just kind of lightweight turtleneck sweaters, and I love it when the turtleneck actually stands up tall and straight. So I got this, I believe, from World Market. My breeches are the same ones I had on earlier in the week. These are Calvin Klein's. I got them at an outlet mall in Dillon, Colorado. And my shoes, these are kind of like Doc Marten type shoes. These are sorrel boots that I got last year. I treated myself to them when they were on sale, and I really like to wear them with lots of different types of clothing, including skirts. So here's my question of the day. Whether you are young or whether you are older like me, do you like to wear boots like this with skirts and dresses and things of that nature? There's no right or wrong answer. I am just curious what you like to do when you put an ensemble like this together. So there you go. There's my fashion epilogue for today.